commissioners recognize that adding this tax to all of the customers and the American citizens would not fix the financial troubles they've gotten themselves into. And by continuing to just mark up their product, that wasn't the issue. That it was actual structural issues that they needed to fix. They needed to restructure, become more competitive, actually do their jobs as a business and not something everybody had to have. And I'm wondering if any of you know why this approach wasn't taken instead of the bailouts for the insurance industries, the car dealerships, the banks, and just tell them, restructure and make your business work.
Well, thank you, Don. It's a great question. I absolutely oppose the bailouts. And when I say I oppose the bailouts, I also mean that I oppose things like cash for clunkers, the bailouts of the state, the bailouts of the labor organizations, the bailouts that have handed to people of this country and picked winners and losers throughout this nation. My opponent is running commercials where she says she voted against the bailouts. She wasn't even in Congress when the bailout vote occurred. We have got to put real solutions in place in this nation. We've got to make sure that private sector solutions are applied across government, where we can make sure that ideas from the private sector that will make things like the post office run more efficiently are used and put in place. When it's healthcare, when it comes to healthcare, to make sure that we are using private sector solutions for healthcare, to make Medicare run more efficiently, to make our programs better and more efficient. But I believe we've got to have people who will look from the bottom up, line by line, throughout every department of government to make sure that we are putting in place ideas that represent the very best in this country, to make sure that we're running government more efficiently, to make sure that we're getting rid of the abuseful waste of taxpayer dollars that we see every day. We've seen this nation pass trillion-dollar stimulus, bailout after bailout. It's picking winners and losers, and it's wrong.
Thanks, Mr. Gardner. Ms. Mark.
Well, first let me say, to correct you, Corey, I was in Congress when we did the second vote on the Troubled Asset Relief Program, also called the bailout, and I did vote against it. But I don't need to be lectured by someone who actually wants to create a tax on the wind in this country. I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire was a ban, not a new source of revenue. But to get to your question, I do oppose Wall Street bailouts because I didn't think that we should be bailing out the same Wall Street banks that created the problem in the first place, and because there was nothing in it for our small community banks. And again, our small community banks create most of the jobs in this country. But beyond that, I also think the federal government needs to be restructured. And as a matter of fact, last year I voted against the president's 2010 budget. Now there is Cory Gardner's third attack ad on me that came out today, and it says that Betsy Markey voted for the president's 2010 bloated budget. Well, that's wrong. I voted against the budget because I thought it was too big. And so my question to Cory Gardner is, was this just a careless mistake? Because carelessness can lead to recklessness, or was this deliberate? And in which case, that goes to, can we trust you? So again, the question is, did you deliberately lie, or was that a mistake? And what do you think the end is? Come on!
We're running out of time. There will be times when you will address whatever you want in the second half of the hour.
I'd actually like to respond to that now. I think we were told the rules would allow for a response.
Yes, that's in the second half of the hour. So I'll make a note. We'll go back.
I believe that was actually something we were told would happen if we were attacked in the middle of this.
That's let him talk. Second half of the hour. It is in the second half of the hour. Boo. Boo.
I would like both of you to leave your egos at the door. Let's talk about solutions. Nobody cares about point and blame anymore. To answer your question, you have to pay off the people who got you elected. That's why they bail out these people, okay? As an independent, I'm not beholden to any of these things because all I want to do is represent the people. If we're looking for solutions for the U.S. Postal Service, I believe was your question, I would look into privatizing and seeing how that will go. And I would start here in Colorado, and just to see how it's go. It's not like you're totally getting rid of the whole program. Let's research it. Let's check it out and see if it will be a good idea.
Thank you, Mr. Waskowitz. Mr. Aiken.
I am no more a proponent of big corporations than I am of big government. I desire to represent individuals and their small businesses. Right off the top of my head, I can't even quite fathom how the bailouts were constitutional. But regardless, it's not the government's position to play favorites as to which companies will survive in their industries. To my understanding, the banks, on the other hand, we didn't have much of a choice, as currently the Federal Reserve Act relieves them from the duty of acting responsibly.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Our next question from Matthew Dunsmore, with the first answer from Ms. Martin. Mr. Dunsmore.
As a recent graduate of the University of Northern Colorado and a lifetime Colorado, I'm very interested in Northern Colorado's future. Like many recent grads in Colorado, I'm feeling the sting of the economy worse than many. A degree that once was held in high esteem is now of minimal worth when not accompanied by years of experience. Internships and projects are no longer cutting it for many employers, and with recent explosion of layoffs, we're no longer competing against other grads for jobs, but also against men and women who have been in their respective fields for 5 or 10 years, sometimes more. If elected, what will you do to curb Colorado's unemployment slide so that we may retain the bright young minds of our prime institutions rather than losing these graduates to other states?
First answer from Ms. Martin.
Yes, thank you very much. I understand what you're talking about. I have 3 children, 2 graduated from college, 1 is in college, and I know both of them. It took several months, went almost a year before she was able to find a job. So it's tough in this economy. We need to, again, make sure that we are supporting our small businesses, which are the creators of most of the jobs in this country. And also, you know, I was very proud of the fact that companies like Abound Solar here in Northern Colorado recently got $400 million of loan guarantees, not a giveaway. This is a loan guarantee so that they're able to access private capital. With that, they're going to be able to estimate to create up to 1,500 new jobs. This is the area of the future. Renewable energy, whether it's wind or solar. Vestas Wind Systems in Colorado just is breaking ground in Greeley. And I think as much as we can do to help those industries, again, whether it is in the renewable energy industry or the biosciences, we need to do that. We also have a lot of great programs coming out of our universities through technology transfer. CSU has a great technology transfer program where they take research, commercialize it, and create jobs. Again, whatever we can do to help our institutions of higher education create jobs is where we focus as well.
Mr. Wasserman.
And I understand where you're coming from. I got a degree in human nutrition and dietetics from CSU. I've done every single job but the one I went to school for. And look where I'm at right now. If you believe, you can achieve. I go one step farther than just giving money to the Small Business Administration. It's having a goal. Government should have a goal, the energy revolution, and should provide the inspiration for us to achieve that goal, and then get out of our way. Because the people will do what needs to be done if you just give us the liberty. The Colorado energy revolution that I have says by 2020, we will create enough energy in this country to not only sustain our country, but to sustain the world. And we're going to start here, right here in Colorado, where we're blessed with every single energy source that you can think of. And it's going to involve a person getting these groups from wind, from solar, from biomass, from geothermal, from wind, natural gas and oil, all of them to come together and tell them, you see the pluses and the minuses of your energy source, we want you to make it better. And then we'll see what they can do.
Mr. Aiken.
Yeah, I last week heard that there was 85% of the college students are planning on moving back with their parents after they graduate. The most important thing that should be done is temporarily extending the tax cuts for all income levels.
Yeah.
If we're not extending it for the upper income levels, it'll potentially translate to 12,000 jobs in Colorado, lost each and every year. Then we have to immediately begin the process of evaluating each of the departments and agencies within the federal government and determining how we can reduce the insatiable appetite of the federal government. These reductions in spending will eventually get us to the position where we can permanently reduce the income tax rates.
Thank you, Mr. Aiden. Mr. Gardner.
Well, thank you, Matthew. I am a graduate of Colorado State University as well. And I am equally concerned about what happens when it comes to creating jobs in this nation. I believe one of the biggest impediments to creating jobs in this nation is a government that continues to overregulate, a government that is now bent on working cap and trade policies, not just through the legislature, but through the administrative and through the regulatory process. I believe we've got to extend the tax cuts this January. If we don't extend those tax cuts, the 4th Congressional District will lose 1,800 jobs a year, just in the 4th Congressional District. It could cost each one of our households in the 4th Congressional District over $5,000 a year. But to create jobs, we've got to also have a plan to get government out of the way, like the American Energy Plan, which is a way to create traditional and clean and new energy, to get people working to help wean ourselves off of oil that comes from overseas, to make sure that we're revitalizing traditional renewable energy resources. I mentioned before a small business savings account, which would allow each of us to save for creating jobs so that when people are ready to hire, when people are ready to begin their business, they have an account that they can do that from. But we've also got to address the economic uncertainty in this nation. There's $1.8 trillion in money sitting on the sidelines, and we've got to get rid of policies like a failed healthcare takeover, the cap and trade policy, a card check bill that makes businesses more and more hesitant to create jobs in this nation.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Our next question is from Christine Kaplan with the first answer from Mr. Waskowitz.
What do we need to do to reduce?
Christine, pull the mic close to you.
What do we need to do to reduce or eliminate the national debt?
My ideas with the Colorado Energy Revolution. You know, it specifically says that our goal by 2020 to produce enough energy, but it's involving everybody. It's not just saying that we're only going to look at one source or one idea or hope, you know, if we give you guys money, that you come up with an idea. No, I have an idea. I have a solution for this. And I want everybody out there from the wind power, solar, wind, whatever resource that you have, to present us your best solutions for this, to achieve this goal. Because we're all in this together. It's not partisan politics here, okay? We're all in this together. And when you create that need, you're going to have a demand for it. You're going to have to create the technologies for it. You're going to have to create the jobs, you know, for that technology. It all just trickles down from there, okay? But again, it starts with having a goal in mind.
Thank you, Mr. Waskowitz. Mr. Aiden.
In order to reduce the national debt, we need to get the economy rolling again. And the only way that we're going to create jobs, meaningful jobs for Americans, is to establish and look at the possibility of using tariffs, which is a constitutional form of raising revenue, so that we can encourage companies to compete in the global market. And we just set aside what we have as differences for the environmental issues that we want to have, the wages that we want to have, the benefits we want to have, and compare those to those that are in China or India or wherever the product is coming from, and adjust the price so that our companies can be competitive. And once they can feel like that it's economically feasible for them to hire, then they're going to do that, and they're going to stimulate the economy, and that'll give us the opportunity to look in ways that we can streamline our government, and eventually we'll be able, it's a long process, but eventually we'll be able to eliminate the debt and hopefully eliminate the individual income tax.
Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, and Christine, I can't remember who said it, but I believe their philosophies about Washington, D.C. went something like this. In Washington, they seem to have an answer to everything. Don't just stand there, spend something. We talk about a shovel-ready project that we don't need. It's digging more and more into debt. We have got to pass a constitutional budget amendment. We have got to cut spending. That begins by taking our spending back to pre-stimulus.